This is the Tesla strategy team, Jiaxin Wu and Jim Royce for Global Business Strategies and Professor Harrison. Tesla has irreversibly reshaped and reformed the automobile industry. We'll demonstrate that it has reshaped the industry value chain such that the pieces fit together to create a compelling competitive advantage. And despite its naysayers, it's poised to release its third generation vehicle, Model 3, in 2017. The key to its future will be its ability to deliver on its promised production and cost targets, which are much more significant with the Model 3 than they have been with previous vehicles. Elon Musk has been the chairman of Tesla since 2014, which at the time became the first American car company since Ford to go public. It has raised a significant amount of investor capital over the years, and it's currently second in the overall EV marketplace worldwide with 164,000 vehicles on the roads. It is currently first in the US, however, with over 50% of the market share. Its products started with the Roadster, and as I mentioned, will move to the Model 3 later in 2017. So as you see over time, it's gone from higher price, and the Model 3 will be the most affordable of its vehicles, and they've moved away from the strict luxury and performance model toward more one of self-driving capability, automaticity as we call it, and as I mentioned, affordability. Tesla makes money first and foremost through its vehicle sales, as you would imagine for a car manufacturer, which is a function of its price and how many products it's able to produce and get to market. It also makes money through resale of its vehicles, and of course it has benefited from government tax credits for electric vehicles for most of its history as well. Similarly, it also manufactures and designs the powertrain consisting of the battery and the chassis for electric vehicles for competitors as well, specifically Mercedes and Toyota. And while that's beyond the scope of this presentation, through its acquisition of Solar City recently, it also has significant interest in the battery production and solar cell storage marketplace as well.
So what is the current strategy of the Tesla? Overall, the goal of the company is to pursue a target in the niches that can generate cash and use the cash to build a foundation upon which the Tesla can expand its business. So to achieve that goal, Tesla have come up with the market strategy that focus on the high-end luxury market first to target the high-income people and then gradually booming down. So for the industry?
Yeah, Tesla's industry strategy, we can see in this slide, differs substantially from a traditional automobile manufacturer, whereas they are really only owning one part of that value chain, the vehicle assembly. Everything else is either a combination of theirs and others' production, or it's franchised, or it's outsourced entirely. Tesla instead does much of it itself. Everything from the power generation and design and manufacture all the way to the refueling, as it owns through its supercharger stations. In a moment. The traditional value chain model takes certain constraints as a given. The inputs, the internal combustion engine and the macro design. In other words, they're constrained by their ability to redesign the vehicle, that Tesla was not. And also through its distribution and sales channels, as you can see, there's significant regulation that do not allow traditional car companies to sell their vehicle as efficiently as Tesla does with its direct sales model. And this obviously imposes an additional cost. This will put its competition in more of a reactionary position to Tesla's moves in this marketplace. And Tesla's value chain, on the other hand, aims to be completely green and self-perpetuating. And like I said, it allows the complete redesign of a vehicle concept. It's not constrained by anything. And the integrated product allows for unprecedented combination of power, performance, luxury, and economy. We can continue. So the question becomes, will Tesla's strategy create enduring success in the future? And to determine that, we'll look to see whether their product is any good, how well they're performing, their capabilities now, and then also what the competition is doing. The total cost of ownership of a Tesla is, I would argue, comparable to others in its class, and despite its high sticker price. The price has been coming down. The Roadster has led to the Models S and X, which each have been in turn lower, and the Model 3 is expected to hit the market with a price tag of $35,000. However, Tesla has been known not to come to market with its advertised prices. Tax credits have been significant, and they've allowed Tesla to get to this point. And however, they are being phased out both at the state and the federal level, especially as the number of electric vehicles hits critical mass. As such, Tesla has relied on them less and less. Specifically, the Model 3 proposed price tag of $35,000 does not include any government assistance. As you would imagine, electric vehicle is extremely fuel efficient. It gets the equivalent of about 300 miles per gallon, and repair is very simple with the simpler powertrain that doesn't require an internal combustion engine. And the resale value is significant. The demand is so high for Tesla vehicles, they were able to offer a customer repurchase plan where they'll rebuy the vehicle for half the purchase price, and then they're able to refurbish it and resell it at a profit. As mentioned earlier, product features are a unique combination of these different values, and I would argue that makes Tesla, and Consumer Reports and others have agreed that it's frequently best in class.
So despite of the fact that Tesla has a tremendous growth in terms of market share, it seems like the business that is losing money. For example, in the chart you can see that it has achieved a high revenue, but in terms of the net income, or we can say net loss, it is losing money since 2013. And we will look at this part in later. So in terms of cash, Tesla has burned 2.2 billion last year and 611 million in the first half of this year. And it has been shown that it's clear for months that Tesla will need more cash to support its operation in 2026. And when we look at the net margin, we see that Tesla has reached the near record high negative margin, which is the minus 24.6%. So we often hear that the Tesla's long-standing margin problem, which is losing money, will be getting better if our sales going up. But the past tells us that increasing sales may not be a solution, as we have seen in this chart that in the first quarter of 2006, the loss per car sold has reached the near record high, which is 19,000 millions. This shows us that maybe the more cars Tesla sells, there is at a minimum no meaningful improvement on the loss per car sold. So it is not a solution for our current issue. And why the Tesla have a problem in this kind of issue, we think it may be related to another issue, which is our production limitation. So in the production limitation can be shown in a two part. First is the time delay in terms of the release of our product. We can see that we have the history of the delay of the releasing the product from the Roadster to the Model X. And we're still not very sure about where we are able to meet the target of the Model 3. And another aspect of the product limitation is our volume target. For example, last year we targeted 55,000 unit sales, but in the end we just achieved the 44,000 deliveries for the years. And so far the maximum production ability in a single year is 50,000 vehicles. So what does it matter for us. Because the Tesla has spent times and energies and money to educate the public about the benefits of the EVs, and try to create the demand for the EVs. But the problem is that should we able to meet this demand if we don't have the ability to produce it? Also, the product limitation will disappoint our shareholders, which means change cause a problem in terms of capital rising in the market. There is also some changes in the ecosystem that may require some adjustment on our current strategy. The first thing is the government incentives. So as Jim has mentioned, the Tesla have relied on the government support for years to achieve the best result. But the things that the government incentive is phased out, and there is the calculation showing that without the government support, Tesla will likely to lose around 20,000 per car sold. Also, when we look at the market, the size for the existing EV market is growing, which shows that it may be reached the 168,000 units in 2018, and for a global market size, it may reach 271 billion in 2019. So as we can see, the market is growing. But the problem is, again, can we meet the demand? When we look at the competition, we can see generally the competition is getting fierce in the EV market. There's new players like Google and Apple has already shown their intention and motivation to enter the car market. And also there is the partnership between our competitors, including the BMW and other luxury Japanese car manufacturers, to join force on the charging stations, which try to challenge the Tesla's advantage in the value chain.
So given what Tesla has attempted to do and what Justine mentioned they have done, a reasonable question is whether this competition coming into the marketplace is necessarily bad for Tesla. One could argue that more competition will have the primary benefit of growing the overall acceptance of EVs in the marketplace. There is still significant barriers to electric vehicle adoption, and the remedies are still at this point proposed. One of those is the price. There still has not been a truly affordable, high-performing and reliable EV in the marketplace yet. The Chevy Bolt is the first one to market later this year, and the Model 3 hopes to join it next year, both around $35,000, which is still expensive, but affordable for many car buyers. Another limitation has been the vehicle range. The Bolt is the first one to attempt to remedy that with a range of about 240 miles. The Model 3 will have similar range as well. And there's a psychological component to this too. There needs to be a critical mass of electric vehicles in order for the market to become self-sustaining. So as more competitors come into the market, they could help that as well. Once you know somebody, or your neighbor does, who owns an electric vehicle, it might make you a lot more inclined to buy one as well. So all major car companies now have EVs in development, and if you look at their literature, it suggests that this is going to be the next big thing for them. From Tesla's perspective, this is beneficial in as much as it could be more customers for its drivetrain and powertrain technology. Each of these companies is going to be a follower of Tesla. Tesla still has the public image as the electric vehicle company. So as others attempt to come into that marketplace, it will indirectly benefit Tesla as being the market, since it is the market leader. And they're also still constrained by both their sales model, where they have dealerships, and Tesla has a direct sales model, and also they're limited in their design. They don't have the fully integrated design capability that Tesla has to truly reimagine a car from the ground up as they have. Lastly, any of these launches being unsuccessful for these car companies could be fatal for them, and then could make their technology and perhaps their brand up for for a cheap acquisition as well.
So looking forward, we think that for the next 3 years, the goal for Tesla is to earn money, which means to achieve the positive net income by the 2020, and it's going to be achieved through each quarter and step by step. And one important subsidiary goal for that is to ensure increasing the manufacturer capability to ensure the production and delivery promise. We think it is important for Tesla to be able to reach 89,000 deliveries in these years and launch the Model 3 in the date 2017 as planned. And to achieve that goal, we think there are generally 3 options for Tesla to get there. The first one is to increasing the size as well as the share in the existing EV market by accelerating the development and launch the scales up of the Model 3. The benefit of this strategy is that it can assist the market share from its competitors in the relatively low-end customer market, which is the Nissan's Leaf and Chery's Volt is engaged in so far. Also, by going to the mid-income market, Tesla may be able to increase in the size of EV market by attracting more customers to buy EVs. But the risk of this strategy is that Tesla may make the wrong assumption about the customer's acceptance of EVs, which may not achieve the goal it wants. The second strategy option is to integrate the solar roofs, power battery, and the vehicles, which means that to try to make the electric vehicles more environmental friendly by providing the solar powers as the power generation. The benefit of this is that it may lower the cost of owners and then attract more customers to buy, attract more price-sensitive customers to buy the electric vehicles. And also, it may appeal to new customer segments like the environmentalists who really cares about the environment. The risk of this strategy is that we are not sure about the market acceptance of these ideas, and we are not sure how large is the market size it will be for people to willing to accept the solar power generation in their house. And this strategy is reasonable in terms of the capability of the Tesla so far. The most important part is the merger with the Solar City, which gives its capacity to do this. Also, the Tesla have the technology competency and as well as the innovation reputation, so it is more capable to achieve this strategy than its competitors. And the final strategy option is to expand to available and the potential market, which means the commercial EVs like the trunks as well as the self-driving car. The benefit of this strategy is to try to attract new segment in existing new segments to create more demand for the Tesla. But the risk is that it really requires more cash, which is quite a limitation for us. And also, given our current product ability, it is able for us to expand more operations. It is also really an issue for us. So,
our recommendation is for Tesla to focus primarily on improving its operational capabilities. That we can argue that Tesla has set incredibly large goals for itself, including not just the rollout of the Model 3, but now there's an expectation of production of Model 3 vehicles by 2018 that's an order of magnitude larger than anything they've done in any year to this point. Namely, they want to produce 500,000 vehicles within the next 2 years. So the key is to be able to produce and get that product to market at cost and on time, reliably. In order to do that, we recommend that they minimize extraneous features. That the Model S has been, they've been able to make permutations of the model in terms of color and features and battery power in order to appeal to different subsegments of the market, whereas, but that introduces a level of operational complication that is unnecessary given the fact that the Model 3 has adequate demand. Over 400,000 people have put $1,000 down in order to get their Model 3. So what Tesla should focus on is minimizing those extra features in order to streamline their production as much as possible. Also create a feedback loop between their production staff and the engineering staff, such that any irregularities or problems with the production process or performance of the vehicle can be immediately notified and remedied. Tesla, as we saw earlier in the industry slide, outsources a lot of its vehicle components, not the critical parts, but the uncritical parts. And this will be a ramp up in production for them as well. So it's imperative through recruitment of its management, and especially in developing expertise in supply chains more than they have in the past, is to manage those suppliers such that they receive their components intact, on time, and again fully up to spec, so that any production delays can be avoided. Okay, thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing your comments. Have a nice day.